Toontown, a beloved game for many which is now a little piece of Disney history, has much more bizarre lore than you'd think. The game is relatively surface level, involving cartoon animals that defeat bad guys called the Cogs in order to save their town, Toontown. But when you stop to think about it, there are a bunch of loose ends that are left unresolved. I did a little bit of digging and came to find a bunch of overlooked and often undiscussed information surrounding the world of Toontown and how the game itself came to be in its final days before going offline permanently in September of 2013. Toontown itself is a place where the cartoon animals called Toons reside. A version of Toontown was first displayed in Who Framed Roger Rabbit and is said to be an area of Los Angeles which is designated for Toons to live in. In the movie, a real-life human who works as a detective is tasked with helping clear the name of a Toon who is accused of, well, deleting another Toon from existence. Off to a lovely start. In the game, however, the exact location of Toontown is never discussed or even alluded to, but it is established that it is a network of neighborhoods or playgrounds where Toons can run businesses and live in their estates. Toontown is known for some interesting inventions and way of life, but what you may not know is that there is a very influential Toon that made Toontown the way that it is. However, his story is buried deep in the game's history. This Toon's name is Gyro. So, who is Gyro? Gyro Gearloose, originally from DuckTales, is a chicken species Toon who owns a lab on the outskirts of Toontown. Ironic that a chicken species was never implemented in the game. Anyway, he's an inventor who is said to have invented portable holes, which are Toon's method of travel via teleportation, the trolley, what Toons ride to go play minigames and win jelly beans, which are their form of currency, and the name generator, which is the name selector machine that players are faced with after selecting their Toon species and look, and inadvertently, Cogs. We'll talk about this more later, but as an ode to Toontown, a scene was even added into a DuckTales episode where Gyro is jotting down things that are good and evil, with the first item on the evil list being Cogs. Everyone knows that one of the most fun parts of playing a game is being able to make your own character your own. So now that we know where Toontown is and what it actually is, let's talk about Toon Creation. Upon loading into the game, players are able to choose which species of animals they want their Toon to be. The available options were a bear, a cat, a dog, a duck, a horse, a monkey, a mouse, a pig, and a rabbit. Although there were never any new species ever introduced to the game, there was potential to have other animals to be choices instead of the final list of options, which were ultimately decided against, not by the developers, but by the public. When the game first launched, the options were limited to cat, dog, duck, horse, mouse, and rabbit, but in 2004, there was the first Toon election. This event, which lasted a little over a week, allowed players to vote which species to add into the game next. These elections took place 2 more times, one being held in 2005 and the other in 2007, which locked in the final species choices. But what were the other options? A chicken, a cow, and a goat were the unchosen remaining options, which were never used and discarded altogether. When it comes to choosing colors for said Toon, there is an abundance of options with just about every color you can think of. Out of the 24 options, 3 major colors are left out: gray, black, and white. However, that doesn't mean you can't have any Toons of these colors. Wait, what? If you can't select these as your Toon color, how can your Toon end up that color? Well, there's one exception to this plain color ban. If you were to create a solid colored cat at any time of day on Halloween, and utter a pre-programmed phrase during the game's tutorial, your Toon would be covered in smoke to then reveal a black cat when it cleared. This color change was permanent and definitely made you feel a lot cooler than everyone else. Want your Toon to rock some new clothes? Maybe some nice furniture for your estate? Don't go looking into your Toon's wallet because Toons don't use normal money. In fact, they use something quite strange and edible? If you played Toontown, you'd know that jelly beans are the official currency of Toontown, but you might not know how they actually came to be. The first jelly bean was all thanks to a mix-up by Goofy. According to a Toontown Online trading card titled The First Jelly Bean Currency, jelly beans became Toontown's official funny money because of a goofed-up delivery made by Goofy himself. The Toontown Mint is where Toontown money is made, but Goofy thought it made mint candy. He delivered the jelly bean machine to the mint and the new coin press to the candy factory, so now the Toons use jelly beans for money and eat chocolate coins. Save them or savor them, jelly beans are safe from Cogs. They can't stand them. The villain of Toontown, the accidents, and the takeover kings. Throughout the game, the streets and even sometimes businesses are overrun by invading Cogs, which the Toons must continually fight off. But where did these so-called Cogs come from? Let's take it back to the beginning. The original Toontown Online created by Disney has been shut down for years, and since then, fans of the game have created their own versions of the game, either making almost exact replicas such as Toontown Rewritten, or their own offshoots such as Toontown Corporate Clash. For the sake of accuracy, in this video I will only be discussing the known lore of the original Toontown Online. When downloading the game for the first time, prospective players were shown a short video as an introduction while they waited. In the video, we can see Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales calling out for someone named Gyro, as he walks into a seemingly empty laboratory. As he progresses further into the room, he stumbles upon a giant cog donned with a piece of paper reading "Do Not Touch." Believing that he can use this robot to help Toons and therefore profit off of, he decides to connect the unfinished wires together to get the robot to turn on. It works, but not in the way he was imagining, and turns the robot evil from the misconnected wires. The robot springs to life and turns on a machine which begins mass-producing Cogs, who the original Cog now instructs to go and invade Toontown. Oddly enough, for characters who are so influential in the game and giving it purpose such as Gyro and Scrooge, this is the only mention of them. After the Cogs invaded Toontown, Toons were given gags to fight them off. There are 7 types of gags: Tune-Up, which is used for healing other Toons, and Trap, Lure, Sound, Throw, Squirt, and Drop, which are used to defeat Cogs. These weapons are definitely original to the game, as no other video game utilized throwing a pie or squirting a water gun at an enemy to defeat them, because those things wouldn't be a match for most game enemies or bosses. So why does this work in Toontown? Well, Cogs are a play on stiff business people who don't know how to have fun. Gags are silly, unusual objects used against the Cogs, which to the Toons is fun and entertaining. Since Cogs aren't capable of having fun, it is said that if they laugh, they explode, which is how the Cogs are defeated. Over time, the Cogs created their own headquarters for each respective type of Cog: Sellbot, Bossbot, Cashbot, and Lawbot. In the Sellbot headquarters, there are 2 main buildings: Sellbot Towers, where the head Sellbot or VP lives, and the Sellbot Factory. The Sellbot Factory is implied to be the place where Cogs are continually being manufactured, even though that is never actually seen by the player in-game. We know this to be true, however, from the game's own coding, where the factory is simply titled Sellbot Leg Factory. Before the Sellbot Factory came to be, the original idea was to have a factory for each individual Cog part. In the game, players are tasked with gathering Cog parts in order to create a Cog disguise for their Toon to be able to sneak into Sellbot Towers and battle the VP. This process is also done for each other Cog type, but we'll just be focusing on Sellbot for now. One more distinctive quality of Sellbot HQ that is never explained is the crater in the middle of the area. It stands out because all of Toontown is generally flat with the exception of ponds and some slight hills. The explanation, although never confirmed, is said to be from the VP battle. But how? During the battle, players must defeat Cogs that the VP produces. Once all the Cogs are defeated, the VP decides to take on the Toons himself. Players are given pies to throw at him, which knocks him backwards until the battle is won by pushing him all the way to the edge of the roof of Sellbot Towers and ultimately knocking him off to the ground below, which is believed to have caused the massive crater. As Cogs began to grow stronger and expand, they created Cog Nation, which is said to be a government of sorts over the Cogs, and where the chairman lives. Cog Nation is never seen by players, but is confirmed to be real by not only the game design, but by Disney. In the Cashbot headquarters, there are several crates that can be seen scattered around, and Cog Currency called Cog Bucks, with the words Cog Nation printed on them. When Disney would put out newsletters for the game, they mentioned Cog Nation on multiple occasions, such as the most Toon-centric holiday on this side of Cog Nation, and it took several hundred rounds of notes and revisions to finalize the Cog designs, which set a new efficiency record in Cog Nation. Doodles are the jelly bean-shaped companions of Toontown. They are the only type of pet you're able to acquire in Toontown though, but they can aid in battle by healing Toons using tricks that they can be taught by their owners. Doodles overall are a useful addition to Toontown. I feel like I'm the only one who says that, especially when soloing the game, but where did they come from? Flippy, the mayor of Toontown, somehow had a doodle of his own. One day his doodle escaped and Toons were recruited to help find it. Once found, it came back with a multitude of other doodles, which then allowed Toons to adopt their very own doodle from the pet shop. The doodles are such a crucial part of the game that there was even a whole event surrounding them. This event was called Operation Storm Sellbot. During the event, Doodles had escaped from the closest pet shop to Sellbot HQ, which is in Daisy's Gardens. After escaping, they made their way to the headquarters, and one doodle named Sparky chewed through some wires that supplied power to Cellbot Towers. This, in turn, caused the power to the towers to be low. Due to the reduced power to the facility, the VP was weak and unable to produce high levels of Cogs, or attack for as much damage, and the security system on the tower's elevator that kept Toons without a Cog disguise from entering was deactivated, which allowed Toons who were previously unable to enter Cellbot Towers to battle the VP for a limited time. There are 3 Easter eggs of sorts in Toontown that cause mass speculation and theories. The Tunnel to Nowhere, the Hidden Moon, and the secret Bossbot Castle. In one of the playgrounds within Toontown called Acorn Acres, a tunnel could be seen with a sign saying "Under Construction," blocking the way. Tunnels are the way for Toons to get from one playground to a connecting street, or a street into the next playground, but this one was completely unusable. Some players believed that it was actually still being developed and would lead to either a new playground or possibly to Cognation, while others believed that it was purely cosmetic to fit the Acorn Acres theme of being a golf course, as a joke about some part of a golf course always being under construction. No information about this tunnel was ever confirmed. The second Easter egg is the Hidden Moon, which could be found under a player's home or estate. When at your in-game estate, you could see the sun directly above you since it is always daytime. Since the game was new and still had its bugs, players would find ways to go outside or under the map. When going under the map of your estate and looking down, players would be face to face with the moon in the same design style of the sun above. It is odd because going outside of the bounds was the only way to see this Easter egg, so is the game encouraging you to explore beyond the set map? Players thought so and would find ways to go out of bounds on just about every playground and headquarters available. Upon going out of bounds in Bossbot HQ, during one of the available Cog battles called the Front 3, if you ran just far enough, you would stumble across a shell of what looked to be like a castle. Some, including myself, believe that it is just the backside of the Bossbot clubhouse, but others believe that it could be the home of the chairman. Although we will never get a fully fleshed out backstory to the game, it was really fun to see the lore behind the game and stuff that's often left undisclosed. I've been playing this game since I was little and have been absolutely obsessed with it ever since then, so it was really interesting to see stuff that I wouldn't have even thought of and share a little bit of that useless game information with you. All in all, this was a fun project and I really enjoyed learning about Toontown because it's just so interesting to me, all the stuff that never even gets brought up in the game that seems like a pretty essential part of it. Feel free to join my community if you want more games like this, and I hope to be able to talk at you again soon.